Right. Yes, yes, the Putnam County Commission is now in session. The Honorable Chair, Harold Blair, presiding. All those having business before this commission, draw nigh, come forward, and ye shall be heard. God bless this great nation, the state of Tennessee, this honorable commission. Mr. Chairman, I find these premises to be in order.
Thank you, Major. At this time, the invocation will be by District 7.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Jimmy Simpson, pastor of Westview Baptist Church.
Let us pray. Father God, we come before you this evening, and first and foremost, as we enter your throne room, Lord, we can't help but praise you for who you are. Lord God, everything that we see around us, you created and you sustain. Father, we thank you that you saw fit to make a way for us to come back into a relationship with you through the blood of your Son, Jesus Christ. Father God, this evening we lift up these leaders that have been appointed over us. We pray, Father God, for wisdom, discernment, knowledge beyond themselves. Pray, Father God, for courage for them to make the right decisions when the right decisions may not be popular, may not be beneficial to them. Father God, we pray that you would just continue to bless this commission, continue to use it for your glory and your honor. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll please take your handsets, everybody press yes and stop right there for me, please. Press yes and stop right there. Now would you please press confirm for me? Everybody press confirm, please. Oh, wait a minute.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Okay, hang on. See if it'll let me go back in here and start this again. It's already started. All right. Let's try this again. Okay. I think you'll let me. Press yes and stop right there for me. All right. Just yes. All right. Now press confirm. There we go. Everybody press confirm. Go. There we go. Hey. Always a way to fix it, brother. Our computer's nice. All right. Mr. Chairman, you have all 24 present. There is a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do I hear a motion and a second on approval of the agenda?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Do I hear a motion and a second for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unfinished business and action thereon by the board. Report of standing committees. Planning Committee.
No unfinished business, Mr. Chair.
Fiscal Review Committee.
Mr. Chairman, no unfinished business.
Nominating Committee.
Mr. Chairman, no unfinished business.
Report of Special Committees. Any other unfinished business? New business and action thereon by the board. Report of standing committees. Planning Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A under planning recommends approval of an interlocal
Agreement between Putnam County and the 911 Emergency Communication District Board of Directors, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number B, Mr. Chairman, recommends approval to appoint a committee to study the County Powers Act that was approved in 2005.
Motion.
And I so move. I'm sorry.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to amend the motion to state recommends approval to appoint a committee by County Executive Randy Porter.
Second.
I second.
Any discussion on the amendment? If you would, Mr. Clerk. Well, hang on. Commissioner Medley.
I'd like to amend that motion that the chairman appoint the committee, and I so move.
Second.
Ms. Reel, did you second that? No, who seconded that motion?
I second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Bowles.
Any discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Medley.
No.
Was you done?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rogers.
Did you want to speak?
I went past you. I already passed you, Ben? All right, Mike, okay. Now,
Commissioner Short.
sorry, thank you.
So I understand, Mr. Medley, your proposal then is to take it out of the hands of the county exec and put it in the hands of the chairman of the commission. Is that correct?
To appoint the board, yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any other discussion on the amendment?
Which amendment?
Hearing none, we'll do this on a voice vote. All in favor of the amend the motion to have the chairman to appoint this committee. If you're in favor of it, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Call the roll, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, on the amendment to have the chairman appoint this committee, you take your handsets. If you favor that motion, vote yes. If you favor that amendment, vote yes. If you do not favor that amendment, then vote no. Everybody understand what we're voting on? We're voting on strictly that one amendment to have the chairman appoint the committee. All right. What? Please don't confirm yet, Mr. Redwine. Thank you. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. Would you please press confirm for me, please? Everybody press confirm. Everybody press confirm. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, you have 15 no, 9 yes, 0 absent. That motion fails. Now you're back to the amendment to have the committee appointed by the county executive. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back now to the original amendment. If you'll take your handsets, if you favor that motion to have the committee appointed by the county executive, vote yes. If you do not favor that motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Stop right there for me, please.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I didn't hear a second on that.
Mr. Rogers made that amendment, and Mr. Honeycutt seconded it. Right. And Mr. Ford, we're waiting on your vote there, please, sir. There we go. Now all votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right, please press confirm for me, if you would. Confirm. Everybody press confirm. All right. Have 17 voting yes, 7 no. Motion carries on the amendment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to the motion as amended. All right, back to the motion as amended. If you take your handsets, if you favor the motion as amended, now vote yes. If you do not favor that motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. You're back to the original motion as amended. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right, ladies and gentlemen, please press confirm for me if you would. Everybody press confirm. Mr. Chairman, you have 21 yes, 3 no, 0 absent. Motion carries as amended. Give me just a second, Mr. Edwin. Please. Good. Thank you, sir.
All right. Item number C, Mr. Chair recommends approval of the list of surplus kitchen equipment and vehicles to be sold via internet public auction by the Sheriff's Department, and I so move.
Second.
Good gracious. I'm just going to pick one out. All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number D, recommends approval to transfer a 1997 Ford Vic from the Sheriff's Department to Emergency Medical Services Department, and I'll let you read the VIN numbers, each of you. So there it is before you, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, that concludes planning.
Thank you, Commissioner Atwood. Fiscal Review Committee.
Mr. Chairman, Fiscal Review Committee met on March 4th and recommends the following first four, and this item A recommends approval of the budget amendment to the county general fund in the amount of $127,250, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, if you'll
All
call
right,
the roll.
ladies and gentlemen, if you favor the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Stop right there for me. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Now, please press confirm for me, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody press confirm. Everybody press confirm. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, we have 24 voting yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. Item B recommends approval of budget amendments to the general purpose school fund, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, if you'll call the
Ladies and
roll.
gentlemen, if you favor the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Now, please press confirm. If we would, ladies and gentlemen, everybody press confirm. Mr. Chairman, we have 24 voting yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Motion carries. Give me just a second, Mr. Jim. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Item C recommends approval for the Board of Education to enter into a capital lease agreement with Apple Incorporated, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Sorry, who seconded that for me? Oh, okay, thanks, sir.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you favor the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Stop right there for me, please. Anyone, all votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere, please wait till I ask you to confirm, please. Now you may confirm. Please, everybody, press confirm. Please wait until I ask you, please. We got to make sure we get the votes in there good. Everybody, please press. Thank you. 24 voting yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Motion carries, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, sir. All
Okay,
right.
thank you. Item D, consider request from the election registrar Debbie Steidle to raise pay for the election workers and the election commission. This item comes to you without a recommendation from the physical review. Do I have a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to deny.
Okay, have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second?
Okay. Hang on just a minute. We have a motion and a second on the floor to deny. Any discussion? Commissioner Ebersol.
I would like to hear from Debbie Steidle on the details of her request.
It's a two-part request, and I thank you so much for sending it to the full commission, since I didn't spring for it in my car and I was 5 minutes late last time. So I did, of course, send you guys a letter, but basically, I'm not going to read it, but what it is for election workers, and that means on election day, those workers that come out and work early in the morning till late at night, they don't make very much. They don't make, they make enough to pay their gas, but they certainly don't make enough for the time that they spend. Other counties do pay more. I do not have that information, and some pay less. I will tell you, this last election, I really had some complaints when I was trying to get more. This last time I had to get more Democrats. Previously, I've had to get more Republicans because you have to have this 50-50 thing. And I had people complaining, I'm not going to work for that amount of money and stay there that long. I'm just not going to do it. Now, some people do it just because they love it, and that's great and fine and really appreciative of that. But as more people come on, because many of those people who used to do it are getting older and they say they shouldn't do it anymore, I'm getting more people to say it ought to pay more. So that's what this is about. The reason the machine operators are not in it is because you guys allowed us already to raise them to $100. I was trying to bring in young people to help on the machines. It worked. They come from tech, they come from the high school, they work for us, and they work that long day, but they love that they're getting $100 for the day. But the other folks are less. And so you can see on the information, giving everybody that I asked for that amount, the total cost of raises on line item 193, which is how you pay election workers. And that's also those election workers that work the 2 weeks before early voting also. That came to $3,775 for all those people. That's not a whole lot of money for so many people that come in and do these jobs. Then I did ask for a raise for the election commission. They work 12 days. They have one meeting a month, always. Then they have seminar, which seminar in the summertime is 3 days, now always in Nashville, and they have to spend the night, as all of us do. They get $80 for the whole shebang, each day. So 3 days times $80. And I was asking if they could get a $20 raise to just take them up to $100. There are no separate committees or anything like that.
Who pays for their overnight?
The county pays for their overnight. There's a travel line item that pays for their overnight, as it does for me and also 2 other workers. Summer seminars are long. They're long. Then we have 2 other seminars, one being fall, one being spring. They're just all day long. but they get $80 for that day, and that's all. They have to learn laws. They go out and do things not getting paid, checking precincts out, and whatnot. So the request is up to $100 a meeting. And then in there I did throw in just the chances the legislature is looking at a new, some of you asked me about it, a new law in which they want precincts at Tech, and they also TTU, and also at the 2-year college. And that is just legislature that they're looking at right now. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll pass. I've spoken to our senator and our House of Rep on that. TTU doesn't have room for us. They can't park the students they have, let alone could they park people who wanted to vote. It'd be kind of like when we were at this place, the courthouse. We just didn't have enough parking. So we've been at TTU. Now we're across the street from TTU at one of the churches. It's across the road from the campus. I would be hoping that they would let us do that. But that's where some extra money is in that line item, just in case this piece of legislation passes. I'm asking tonight, because this is before the budget's given to the county exec, and thus if you say no, I can take the money out of those line items, and if you say yes, I can leave the money in those line items. So that's why I'm asking ahead of time. Plus, an auditor told us a couple of years ago we ought to ask ahead of time because of those 2 pieces of legislation. You guys will decide whether or not. So if there were any other questions, I think I basically told you. I certainly believe they deserve $100 a meeting.
I'm done, thank you.
You're done. Commissioner Bowman.
Did you say this was already in your budget? You had the
I
money
haven't
in your
turned my budget in.
You don't have, it's not in your budget. Is that what you're saying? It's not already appropriated in your budget?
Not in the budget we're in right now. No, because we don't turn in the new budget. We'll have to have it into Mr. Porter April 1. So that's why I was asking now.
I think this is something the budget committee should look at.
Well, and I very much appreciate I did it the last time that way, and when I did do it that way, take it through, the auditor told me never to do that again. He said, you get that okay beforehand. And the problem was some things going on in another county where somebody was hiding some things. They no longer work there. But, so, since the auditor said for me to, that's why I asked ahead of time. Now, when it still goes to well, it's already okay. You're right. I understand what you're saying. But that's why I'm asking now instead of through the budget process.
Commissioner Ford.
Debbie, when was the last time we raised this?
You raised it. It might have been 3 years ago. I asked for 100 then for them, but you gave them 20. So they went from 60 to 80, and now we're asking to go to 100.
I knew we raised it in the last couple of years. As far as Tennessee Tech goes, that's my district. That's where I've voted at for the last 16 years until y'all moved it to college side, and that is more aggravating than anything in the world. Go college side and get in. Tennessee Tech, I never had a problem. It was down at the stadium,
right.
And during election was during the time that Tech was always out, so there wasn't any problem in parking.
In parking,
and I'd like to see it go back there.
Well, the election commission makes that decision, and the reason they left it was leaking. The room leaked. It was wet when we would go in. That wasn't good for the machinery. And that was the reason they left. Tech then allowed us to stay at the old Prescott school that they bought, but that wasn't up to par at all. And now I drive by there every morning. I can tell you, if Tech was good enough to let us, and they very well might, the parking there is already so full that I can't see how the parking would be better. So the election commission has chosen to stay at this time at the church.
Like I said, I've been on the commission 16 years, so the last time it's been voted at college side, always before that, and I've never had a problem parking.
and people getting in, they have a harder time at college side because, like I said, normally when the election is when tech is out.
Well, yes, sometimes, yes. I don't know what those, I just know what tech said to us too.
Right.
And my election commissioners went there and looked. And the problem was really, there was a problem for us. But that leaking in that underneath there, that was awful. That is not good for the machinery.
Thank you, Dave.
Commissioner Savage.
My question's been answered.
Commissioner Martin.
I personally think that most people in this county see those positions as volunteer, and they do a fantastic job, put in a lot of hours, do a great job for this county, and I think that should be considered.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wanderson.
I want to take a brief moment to follow up what Jerry said there too. It's not as much about with the motion tonight, but just to validate what Jerry said. I also vote there as well. Voted at Tech at both the old Prescott and at Tucker Stadium, and now at College side. And I can definitely vouch for what Jerry's saying. The parking's a lot easier and everything else. That's of course not about the motion here, but I just want to take that opportunity to follow up on that.
Thank you. And I'll tell the election commission what you said for sure.
Folks, let's keep it on the subject here of what we're voting on. Commissioner Bennett.
Ms. Debbie, I totally understand what you're saying, and I know it can cost gas and your time and your effort and all that, and I do appreciate it. I think that people do a marvelous job, but I think, in all fairness to all the other departments, I think it should go through the budget committee, and it does. I'd probably be in favor of voting yes, on that, but I think it should go to the budget committee and get it to the right channel, I think.
And I do understand. I did do that previously. But when the auditor called me, told me that I don't want to be written up in the audit, that's first, right there, but I want to do things the right way too. And that was what was suggested to me, and that is the reason I'm coming beforehand.
Yeah, I understand.
Commissioner Short.
So Debbie, recapping, you had $33.75 in raises, and how much was the total amount for the 5 election commissioners?
I think it was 1,700, 12 meetings, if all 5 came, times $20 each, and then 5 for sure seminar days. Sometimes we have a few more, but
A little net over 5,000 then. And if I understand you right, then you're requesting this for the 15-16 budget? Is that what you're asking for?
Yes, it's not now. No, it only has to do with the next budget and the auditor telling me to do it this way.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I came to do it this way.
Commissioner Rogers.
I checked with County Audit today. They emailed me TCA 2-12-108, and it just states the compensation may be increased by resolution by the county legislative body. So it says may be, it doesn't say shall, so we have the option. Just want to clarify that.
Ooh, well, this is what I'm told. You don't give them a raise unless you guys say so. Now, that's why an AOE in another county lost her job, because she gave, through the budget process, she increased a line item. The county commission didn't know it. She didn't tell anybody, and she lost her job over that because they said she was hiding things. And what the previous auditor said to me was, we don't think you're hiding anything, Debbie, but do it this way. So that's the only reason. I'll gladly just come back through budget if that's what you want me to do. But I want the minutes to state that I came and tried, okay? But that's fine with me. If you want me to go through budget, I'll do it.
Commissioner Atwood.
I got my answer. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll tell you, this budget is almost $72,000 less than last year's budget. An election generally costs us anywhere from $60,000 to $65,000. There were 2 elections last year. There's 1 election in this next year because the fiscal versus the calendar year. That's how it just works out. So we've already cut the budget even with those raises in it.
Commissioner Ebersol.
Well, if we're okay with bringing it through the budget, as long as it's stated in the minutes, I would like to amend the motion that this is brought up through the budget process.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the amendment?
I'm not sure what we did. Can you help me?
We're just gonna. My amended motion was that we just close it here and discuss this during the budget process.
Do we need a motion to do that? I guess that's my question, kind of a point of order here. If she brings it before the budget committee, it's going to be discussed, I would think. Is that, help me?
Well, but what I'm saying is there's no, if we say no, we can't do it, then it won't be discussed in the budget. And I'm saying that it appears that a lot of commissioners are saying that they would rather see this being discussed in the budget, and so I'm leaving that door open with my amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And who's seconded that motion? Jordan. Thank you, Jordan.
Okay. Commissioner Midden.
David, I'd like you to clarify to me, the auditors, did they tell you not to send it to budget or just get it okay before budget? That's what you
The
said.
auditor that is there now, he called me today. Mr. Walker? Is that his?
That's what he stated. You need to get it
He's,
done without it going into budget.
he suggested that ahead of time was a good idea too. The previous auditor told me to do it that way. The auditor that, bring it to you guys ahead of time, not during the budget process. The auditor that is there now, he thought it was probably the best idea to do it ahead of time.
Well, my question is, does he write you up if it goes in front of the budget committee?
I don't know. But now that I've come to you and said something to you, but I know the previous auditor led me to believe that I would be written up. And that's the only reason I came ahead of time. Just doing what the auditors suggested.
Just a comment.
Hang on. Hold. Anything else, Commissioner Midden? Commissioner Martin.
Comment. I think it has to go before budget anyway. Even if you did, if you came to us tonight, I think it'd still be a budget item that we'd have to approve. So I think motion's in order.
Any other discussion? Mr. Clerk, if you'll read off the amendment.
All right. Mr. Eversole has moved. Mr. Warren's in the second. Item Fiscal Review D be brought back through the Budget Committee instead of voting on this at the Commission meeting tonight. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Is everybody clear on the amendment? Where we're at? Any questions there? All right.
All in favor on the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the fiscal review report.
Need to go to E, Jim. E.
You ready for item E?
Item E.
Item E, yes. Well, we don't have to vote on this one, but have a report from Mr. Porter.
If I may, I apologize, excuse me, Randy, but I believe, point of order, if we have an amendment, then we have to vote on the motion original. Is that not right with the amendment? Am I not? Don't we need that in the minutes that we did that?
Well, the original motion was to deny it.
Then we don't need an amendment.
Well, the amendment is to take it back to budget. I know the original is to deny it, so I mean, I'll let Mr. Wallace or Mr. Jones give us some direction, whatever. I think the amendment.
That shouldn't have been an amendment. That should have been where you changed
If it was a substitute motion, it's a difference. If it was an amendment, it definitely has to be voted on. The motion, I believe, Mr. Chair, would have to be voted on with the amendment.
Well, I tell you what we can do. If it'll make everybody feel better, we'll vote on it right here.
That'd be
Let's
great.
do it as a substitute motion. Is that what you want to do? Is that all right with you?
Yeah,
Just make it
that's
as a
great.
substitute motion rather than the original one? All right. Can I let the record show, ladies and gentlemen, that's a substitute motion? Mr. Chairman, do you want to revote that?
We can revote it.
All right, I'm going to make my notations as a substitute motion. Excuse me if I said amendment, we'll make that a substitute motion, all right? Now, the substitute motion is on fiscal review D, to bring this through the budget committee process instead of at this commission meeting tonight. That was moved by Commissioner Ebersole and seconded by Commissioner Watson. Is that correct? Is everybody clear on that? All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll vote on it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
All right.
What's it do?
Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I gave an update to the Fiscal Review Committee last Monday night. I have a little bit more information since then. FEMA arrived in the state this afternoon and will be going through the region this week and possibly next week. We hope to meet with them in Putnam County starting Wednesday. It'll probably be a couple-day process as they have to meet with all the departments and elected officials that have anything to do with the ice storm. I talked to the county attorney, and at first, last Monday night, wasn't sure we needed a motion, but just when we're dealing with the federal government, just to make sure that everything is, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. My plan is, as we move forward with this, if we're declared by FEMA as a disaster area, I have bids that are out and we'll be ready to go to do the monitoring and the cleanup of the debris. If we're not declared, I'll be back to you in April for the commission to make a decision as to what it wants to do about the cleanup. What I'd like to have, I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, but I'd like to have a motion that the commission supports the county executive to proceed with the cleanup from the ice storm once FEMA declares us a disaster area, so that we don't waste any time and we move forward with awarding the bids and starting on the cleanup, if the commission is willing to do that.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, we'll call for a vote.
Hold on a minute. Hold on.
I'm sorry, who seconded that motion? Pardon, Jordan?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Short.
Crystal ball, what are we looking at? Do we know?
We don't have
12%, right?
12.5% is what we're
12.5%.
estimating. That is, if FEMA pays its normal 75% and the state pays 12.5%. None of that's set yet, but there'd be 12.5%. Until we get it totally cleaned up, Tom, I mean, we can guess all day long. I think it'll be at least $1 million total, but that's a pure guess, and that's all that is. It's something we're going to have to do, but until we get it cleaned up, I can't tell you what that final number will be.
Okay.
Commissioner Medley.
Randy, is that 12%, is that going to be broken down between the cities or just Plain County?
Well, we'll do our cleanup in the county. This Monterey City will do its own cleanup. Cook will do its own cleanup, and then each one of those cities will file individually with FEMA so that each one is reimbursed separately from the county.
That's what I figured.
Any other discussion? Mr. Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you favor the motion, take your handsets and vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Stop right there for me, please. Wait a second before you confirm, please. All votes are now in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Now, please press confirm for me, if you would, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody press confirm. Chairman, with 24 voting yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Motion carries. That's it.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes fiscal review.
Thank you, Commissioner Martin. Nominate committee.
Nominating committee has no report. Maybe next month.
Thank you again, Commissioner Martin. Report of special committees. Resolutions.
There are no resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Election of notaries.
Barbara A. Aldridge, Danielle L. Birdwell, Jane Bowles, Kenneth D. Dudney, Alicia England, Jason Scott Evans, Lynette Flatt, Amy E. Ford, Cheryl L. Gant, Cindy George, Renee Grant, Derek M. Heap, Sonia Haruska, Jerry M. Liebig, Myra Mayberry, Sue Neal, Tanya J. Reeder, Cynthia D. Rush, Corey Sewell, Linda G. Shannon, Beth A. Shipley, Sherry Vasquez Perez, Vicki Walraven, and Mindy Youngblood.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk?
These have to be voted. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please take your handsets? And if you're in favor of the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone vote. Please stop right there. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Now, please press confirm for the final time for me tonight, if you would. Everybody press confirm. Everybody press confirm. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we have 24 voting yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Motion carries. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Any other new business? Announcements and statements. Commissioner Rogers is head of it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fellow commissioners, CTAS recently did a budgeting class in Cookeville, and thank you for those that attended. We are doing a 2-hour webinar. I gave you a handout in front of you. It's Tuesday, April 22nd. It's at 6 p.m. Central Time. If you would like to view the webinar, of course, it's free of charge. Let me know. We'll email you a link. Like I said, it's just 2 hours. It's a scaled-down version of what we taught back a couple weeks ago. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take this minute to thank all the departments that worked during the snowstorm, ice storm, everything we had, the ambulance service, the rescue squad. Tommy and Brother Smith done a great job. I noticed in the paper reading, though, there wasn't anything said about the sheriff's department, and I've had 2 or 3 people come up to me and say that the sheriff's office was the first ones on the scene, so I want to say a special thank you to Eddie Ferris and the sheriff's department for the great work they done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Bennett.
Stole my thunder. I was going to say something like that. As being a resident from Monterey, my brother here, too, we really appreciate all the effort that came up there. You would be astonished of how much volunteer help come up to Monterey and went out there and worked day after day, way into the night, in any kind of effort you can think of. And the people so much appreciate it. One quick story, an elderly lady in her 80s, she went through this, her power's out, she'd had no heat, she didn't have nothing, she's by herself. And the pastor of my church just randomly knocked on her doors, and he had a big case of water. And she said, "How did you know?" She said, "I've been sitting here dying of thirst, no water." She didn't have nothing. And so it just things like that impressed me, that people would go out and, have no connection at all with anybody, don't even know them, and knock on their door, and there they are, with great need. And I just want to commend all those that came up and helped. Sheriff's Department, that and on down. It's just amazing to me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. County Exec, Mr. Randy Porter.
I just have a couple announcements, Mr. Chairman. One is I gave you new revenue numbers that I passed the spreadsheet around. That is through the end of February. Please remember these are straight from the trustee's office. They don't have receivables in them, so make sure that you know what you're comparing. Also was asked to announce that on Thursday, May the 7th, here at the south lawn of the courthouse, they'll have their National Day of Prayer service that they have annually here. It'll be at 11:30 on the south lawn of the courthouse on May the 7th. Thank you.
Commissioner Robertson.
Again, about what Larry said, thank you all. It's great to live in a county like Putnam County. Thank you.
Any other announcements or statements?
Motion adjourned.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.